Good morning, everyone on Zoom. Just to confirm our sound check, I'd like to hear 1 or 2% mute their mic and say hi to the class. So I'll be starting with Abdusalam Yidamola. If you're there, please kindly unmute your mic. Say hello to the class. Okay, since Yidamola is not there, let me move to the second person. Joy Odima. Joy Odima, Odima. Happy Joy.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Say hi to the class.
Hi.
That's fine. Hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me move to the next person. Blessed Prince.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, sir.
F. Young Kingsley Tom. Kindly say hi to the class.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Okay, good morning, F. Young Kingsley Tom. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you,
All
sir?
right, that's fine. Emmanuel Honora. Kindly unmute and say hi to the class.
Hi to the class. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. Also, happy to be here.
Okay, that's fine. Lloyd, Rita, kindly say hi to the class.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. So nice to hear from you, Rita.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Ivy Ojewun. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Kindly unmute and say good morning to the class. Ige. Ivy, is you there? Okay, I think Ivy is having a network issue. Then I have Aransi. Kindly unmute and say hi to the class. Aransi, if you can hear me.
Good morning, sir. Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you. Ladi. Ladi, kindly unmute and say morning to the class. Ladi. Okay. Okay. I think Ladi is having issues with her connection. We have Ubem Onadi. Ubem Onadi, kindly unmute and say hi to the class.
Good morning, sir. It's Lubem Onandi.
Okay, Onani. Okay,
Good morning,
fine.
sir.
Is that Evie?
Hello?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
I said Lubem Onandi.
Okay, Lubem Onandi.
Yes.
That is taken. You can mute when we're done talking. Yes, yes, good morning. Who is next? Miracle. Miracle Akuko.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Okay. We have Unjam Praise. Unjam Praise. Kindly unmute and say hi to the class.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Onyechi Messi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to everyone.
Morning. Ruth. Ruth Obo.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So nice to hear from you. Then
Thank you,
we
sir.
have Yes.
everyone.
Morning. Then we have another Ruth. Her name is Ruth Origoye. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Ruth. Okay. Ruth is having issues with her network. Then we have Ayomide. Ayomide, kindly unmute and say hi to the class.
Hi.
All right, good morning. Then we have Solomon Deborah.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And we have Toibat.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Then we have Uju. Uju, are you there?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Then we have Victory. Victory. Kindly unmute and say hi to the class. Okay. Then we have Wealth.
Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, we have Ishaya. Ishaya, kindly unmute and say hi to the class.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Thank you very much. I think I've been able to do justice to all of us that are on Zoom. Okay, I have Sandra Christiana. She just joined in. Kindly say hi to the class, Sandra. Okay, I think she's still trying to connect. Then we have Ozie. Ozie, you're welcome. All of you are welcome to today's class. So I will be the one piloting our execution process in our project management today. Good morning, everyone in class. The weather is calm, right? So all of you are running away from where the fans are. I see that the fans are isolated. If you're not comfortable with it, you can just put it off. Okay, it's okay. All right, it's fine. My name is Young Solomon Godwin. I'm an architect, and I also facilitate project management with Mr. Amadi. This is the point where I come in and to take in execution and, of course, monitoring and controlling and closing of your project. So today we'll be looking at execution of our project. Is that okay? So, by way of recap, before now, we have looked at the project management framework, not so? We have been able to see the 10 knowledge areas when it comes to managing our projects. And we have been taught about the 5 life cycle when it comes to projects. Can anyone recall the 5 stages? Okay. Very well. Thank you very much. That is the 5 stages when it comes to our project. 5 life cycle when it comes to our project. And you were also told that we have 49 processes when it comes to our project, not so? Yes. And we say 2 of those processes are in our initiation. In planning, how many processes did you do in planning? 24, exactly. So today we'll be looking at the 10 processes in execution, and in monitoring and controlling of your project has 12 processes, and closing of your project is just 1 process. You understand? So in our initiation, where we say we had 2 processes, one of them was to develop project charter and identify stakeholders. Not so, of course. So today we'll look at execution. For those of us who are online, kindly remember the ground rule that when you come in, please, you put off your camera and your mic should be muted. The reason is because the class is being recorded, and at the end of the day, it will be published to you guys to listen to again. So if there are noises, you find out that the recording will not be smooth. And for those of us who may likely put on our camera, well, we don't want to be distracted by your beauty or your fine room or houses, so that everyone can be focused on the class. So having said that, I think we all are familiar with the ground rules anyway. So let us begin. Can everyone see the screen? Yes. Can everyone see the screen? Just to be sure. Okay. So I was scrolling through my Twitter timeline and I saw this interesting question, and I would like us to quickly look at it. The question says, the project aims to investigate the feasibility of constructing a hydroelectric dam from a technical, economical, and social point of view. The project charter created by the project manager on behalf of the project sponsor is now approved. Which of the following processes should be performed next? With the knowledge you have had so far before this class, you should be able to know the best answer. So which process is to be performed next? For those of us on Zoom, just kindly use the chat box and drop your answer. So we have the options of develop project management plan, identify risk, identify stakeholders, develop project charter. So which one is the correct option? Identify stakeholders. What's your name? Abdul Malik is saying he's identify stakeholders. Any other person? Any other person? Okay, let me quickly check my chat box and see. Okay, I'm getting options of A from Hamza. Ray say the option is A. Infinix Smart say the option is C. Another person says the option is B. Develop project management plan. Okay, somebody says D. Well, the answer to that question is that when we are initiating our projects, what are the processes involved? 2, which one comes first? Creating the charter. So what comes next? So why are you identifying stakeholder at that point? Exactly. And again, you know, you are going to plan for your project, not so. And when you identify the stakeholders, it will help you in planning your project. Remember, we have talked about expert judgment. It has been repeated over and over. So it is important. So identify stakeholder is actually the right answer. So let's move on. You probably meet this when you're taking your assessment. So just have that in mind. So let's proceed. So when it comes to executing your project, these are the processes involved. Please, can we mention them together? Those of us in class. Number 1 is what? Number 2? Number 3? Number 4? Number 5? Number 6? Number 7? Number 8? Number 9? Number 10? Number 11? There is no number 11. Okay. So I'm going to briefly explain these 10 processes before we go into them deeply. Now, this is what you need to pay attention to. Even before now, all the processes that you have been treating, there are 3 things you need to look out for. Now, in each process, what do I need to do? Pay attention to these 3 things. In each process, what do I need to do? And the second thing is, what are the techniques and tools I'm going to use to do the things I need to do? And of course, finally, what will be the result after I'm done with what I'm supposed to do? Simply put, I want to make jollof rice. What do I need? I need ingredient, right? I need rice. Exactly. I need water. I mean, so what are the tools that I need? Spoon. Yeah. What about the gas? We need gas now. So at the end of the day, what do I have? At the end of the day, the result now. The result. That's what I'm talking about. I have rice, Abby. Yes. Now some of you may be wondering, and this guy really cook. If I boil water for you, you will lick your hand. So now let's go. Direct and manage project work. What does it mean? It simply means you need to supervise, provide supervision. As the project manager, you have a team, so you need to provide leadership. So supervision will now mean, okay, in this class, we have a table for the facilitator, and the chair to the table of the facilitator should be about 2 meters. And I walked in, and I observed that the distance between the table and the first row of the chair is 1.2 meters instead of 2 meters. What do I need to do? No, that's not what the plan says. Please adjust. It should be 2 meters. All of these things I'm doing is providing supervision. But most importantly, when you are providing supervision, you need to pay attention to the planning. What do we have in the plan? What are we executing? Is it the same? Because that's the basics of what you'll be using to be providing your supervision. Not so. You have the plan. Are my team members doing what they are supposed to do? The activities, are they doing it according to the plan? So it is the plan that you use to ensure that they carry out the activity that they are supposed to do. So that's providing supervision. And the next one is for us to manage project knowledge. Now, there are informations that you need when you are carrying out your project, when you are executing. Some of these informations are documented in your project plan. Some of them, you can find them within the organization. Some of them, you can find them out of the organization. What are we saying? Take advantage of all the information that you need during the execution of your project. That's what we're saying. So those information, that's like application of expert judgment. You want to find out from people who are experienced, people who have done it before. Then they will tell you this is how, this is how. So that's project knowledge. So that's managing project knowledge. So you may want to consult. There are people who can give you this information inside the organization. There are people who are external bodies that can also provide this information for you. Let me give you a little example. I was in Kogi last year, February, for a friend's wedding. Not a friend directly. My friend's younger sister was getting married. So we're there. I happened to be one of the early birds to arrive at the occasion. So some of the things that will be done, I also had to participate. So what happened is they brought a cow. The guy that is supposed to butcher it, the guy butcher it and begins to, do the process. And then I asked him, what if during my time, I don't want you to pieces the cow for the women to cook. I just want you to hang it like barbecue so that anybody that comes just go there and cut whatever they want to eat and all of that. And it was like he has had similar experience. He had a project somewhere in Gwarimpa, and the celebrant was telling him, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cows, just slaughter this one, let the women use it to cook. But you see these 2, I want it barbecue, I want it to be hanged. And the guy asked the celebrant, where can I get jack? The guy was like, I don't know. Now, was sourcing for information from who? The wrong person. And I was asking the right question to the wrong person. So when the person said he doesn't know, the next question he now asked was, who is the biggest caterer within? who is the biggest caterer within. And he was able to pinpoint 1 or 2 persons, talk to this person, talk to this person. This person will be able to show you where you can. And he was able to get that information and he was able to get the jack. So what's the point? The point is, you will always find out information. You will always ask people. So it is important to ask the right question and you ask the right person. So always source out for information that will help you in your project. How many of us have bought electronics before? If you have bought electronics before, just yes. Now, whatever, even if it is your phone, when you open it, you see something they call manual. It's a guide. That's like knowledge for you to guide to know how you navigate the device you have bought. And of course, the third one is for us to acquire resources. Must have come across resources while planning to this point. What are resources? 3 things comes to mind. What are resources? Money. Well, yes, correct. Yes, that's correct. Labor. One more. Let me check those of us on Zoom. Let me see if I'm getting any response. What are resources? Okay, no response yet. What are resources? We have mentioned, somebody has mentioned labor, somebody has mentioned equipment, and somebody is here to mention another one. So there are 3. Material. Thank you very much. Yes, material. So those are resources. So at the point of execution, at the point where you're executing your projects, the materials, the equipment, and your team members, which is the laborers, at that point is when you need to go and get those resources. You know that you're about to start executing. So your team members needs to be on ground. The equipment needs to be on ground. The materials also need to be on ground. Sometimes those materials, those equipment, those things are inside the organization already. Some of them, they are outside. So maybe we need to go and rent. We need to go and hire. And sometimes we need some team members who are not in the organization. We need to go and recruit them. That's where recruitment happens. So anytime you see a vacancy anywhere, just know that, okay, this organization, they are at the point of executing one project or the other. And that's why they are looking for so and so person. So whether you are buying your material, whether you are renting your material or already have it in the organization, go and source for them, go and get it. Because you're about executing. Then the next one is for us to develop the human component of our team. That is, our team members needs to be developed. Your team members. Now, you need to bear it in mind. I'm sure Mr. Amadi must have made an example of when you have a team and they give you 10 persons and it's just 2 persons that know what to do out of the 10. That's negative, right? Did he make an example like that? He hasn't. Okay. I think before the project management course finishes, we'll make the example. Now it's a disadvantage because the remaining 8 persons needs to undergo what? Training. So at the point of developing your team, what do you need to do? You need to check out to see who are those ones that need skills for them to perform their activities. Some of them are lacking in the competency. Some of them are lacking in the capability. So it is the time for you to now provide a leadership skill. You give them an enabling environment for them to develop, for them to learn. Another example, back in 2011, I found myself in a legal firm. My job role was to manage the office, do some typing, and of course, run some errands for the office. So what happened? One day, my boss drafted proceedings and gave me to type. Now, I'm just new into the business. I'm not so familiar with legal terms. And my madam's handwriting. Well, I will say our own is better than the doctors. So I managed to type what I could see. Sometimes the sentence was not making sense to me, but what do I know? I just have to type what I see. And when I was done typing, my supervisor had to come and proofread what I've typed. Oh, she rained all kind of insult on me. It would have just been better I typed this thing myself. What did you type? Are you sure you can cope with this job? That was the statement. But when my boss came, she was like, I don't have a problem with somebody who is trying to learn, who is trying to adapt to the organization system. But the thing is, are you willing to learn? Are you showing that attitude to learn? And I tell you, a year later, she said to me, if Godwin, she calls me Godwin, so if Godwin is not in this office, I will run into trouble. That's how effective it was. So when you give people the opportunity for them to develop, you will see, provided they want to. Because sometimes you give people enough time, they'll still be doing what they need, what they want to do, not so. Exactly. And as a result of that, so many things happen. For example, our office was in the 3rd floor. And sometimes she would just tell me, Godwin, please go to my car. Go and get me an eye pencil, go and get me just something. And when I get to the car, you know, women's bag has different compartments. By the time you open, you can even see 20 million inside. So what happened was, by the time I get there, when I open the bag, I get distracted. I don't even know what they asked me to bring again. I'll just carry something else and go and give her. She will say, no, God, this is not what I asked you to bring. So after some time, whenever she sent me for a car, when I get to the car, I'll carry the whole bag. Walk upstairs and give it to her. Anything you are looking for, find it. Did you see what happened? Have that time to begin to think of how to resolve issues. So as a project manager, trust me, it's not everybody that will be placed under your team that will be excellently okay. So you just need to create that platform, that enabling environment for them to do. Are we together? I don't know if I'm communicating. Yes, for the first time, it will look somehow that it is not Mr. Amadi that is facilitating this class because you're already used to him. When somebody came, he was asking, who is that guy? Yes. So don't worry. Before the class ends, we'll get familiar with each other. Then the next one is for us to work close with our individual team members. That is, manage team. It therefore means we need to provide relevant support to our team members as they may need it. Managing your team involves working close with them. Back to my office in 2011, there is something significant about my boss that she discovered. See, if you like, shout from now till tomorrow for me to perform a task. You just keep shouting and shouting and shouting. I will not do anything. I will not be able to perform anything. So shouting doesn't work for me. So when she discovered, this is what happened. She said, Godwin, we are going to the court on Monday. These are the proceedings you need to type. There should be no error. I don't care how you want to do it, but just make sure the documents are ready by Monday morning, and I will deliver. Just give me the assignment, give me the instruction, and turn your back, and I will deliver. And I'm sure some of us have that similarities with mine, that if they keep shouting on you, will not do anything. So as a project manager, when you work close with your individual team members, you'll be able to know where their strength is. And once you know where their strength is, there are some activities that you will designate to them. Are we together? Now, the next one is for us to conduct procurement. Now, in your projects, you will not do everything, not so. Only you cannot perform all the tasks. For example, we're in this class now. I am facilitating this discussion on project management execution. You don't expect me now to go and be bringing water to share. You don't expect me. You don't expect me to go and be manufacturing drinks. Those are not my areas. So we have somebody who is designated. Now is to make this class more interesting also. So if you decide to go and get a bottle of water, you just go outside. So he is a vendor. So let's see. Somebody's mic has come up. Let me see. Okay. I think the person has done what he needs to do. Imagine I have a conference at the International Conference Center, and I'm expecting 1,000 guests. And what I need to do is just to facilitate discussion like this one. Then I begin to place a call because I can't gather 1,000 persons and they'll just sit down and be looking at me. Some of them will need refreshment also. So I'll begin to place a call to Mama Cass, to B.O. Bag, to Jevnik Restaurants. Look, I have an occasion coming up on the 1st of May. 1,000 people is expected. Please send me your bill. Let me see what you have in your menu. And Mama Cass send, B.O. Bag send, Jevnik sends. Then I'll look at them, I evaluate. So which one is best for me? So at that point, I reach out to them, I reach an agreement, and they call. So that's conduct procurement. So some of your projects, you will give it to a third party. Some of your part of your activity, you outsource it. So at that point of conducting procurement, what you need to do is now to identify the criteria you are going to use to give out that part of your project. You are going to do evaluation. You are going to look at their tech, you are going to do technical evaluation. You are also going to do financial evaluation. Are these guys capable? What have they done before? Did they deliver? That is what will form the essence of you giving anybody or subletting or outsourcing any part of your project. And also, the time of conducting procurement is when you need to make advertisements. Yes, it is when you tell people, this is what I want to do. That's when they can now know that, okay, you want to do something like this. I have somebody that can do this. I have somebody that can do that. Are we together? So that's what conduct procurement is. So at the end of the day, when you have gotten the set of people who wants to take part of a project, they'll begin to submit their bid. They submit their proposal. So you do your evaluation and find who is best suited for the job. So conduct procurement is simply the point where you recruit vendor you may want to work with in your project. And number 7 is for us to manage communication. What does it entail? It means making sure that you are generating work performance information. That is an organized information. Now that we are executing our projects, we expect that deliverables is being made. Not so. Results are coming up. So those results, those data that you are generating, how do you now communicate it? So sometimes you are going to document it and send the report. Now, sometimes it can be daily, it can be weekly, it can be monthly, as the case may be. So all of the things you have done, okay, we have finished, we're able to finish this first week, we're able to do this, and also your costs. All of those things are information. So you just share it with your stakeholders. So you may decide to have a WhatsApp group, you may decide to have a blog where you can just drop all this information and everybody just go there and see what is going on. Yesterday, Mr. Madi posted today's class, not so? And all of us were able to see it and know that, okay, we have execution by 9 a.m. on the 29th of April, 2023. Not so? That's what we're talking about. That's communication. So Those information, you are putting it in a manner that stakeholders will understand. So either you are writing them or you are sending it individually across to each person. So sometimes, as the class progresses, I think he's going to come in at some point to tell you guys about how the portal works. Now, you will need your login details for you to access the portals. Those are information he's coming to share with you. So for some reasons, some people may not get their login details as SAT when due. Then individually, we can now begin to send you your login details. So as a project manager, sometimes you share the information across to everybody, and sometimes you share it individually to persons. Then the number 8 is for us to implement risks responses. Not so. Remember, in your planning, you identify risks. In your planning, you will plan for risks, not so. You do not plan for risk. Yeah. We plan for risks, not so. So where would the risk start showing itself? That's why executing. Sure. What you have planned for, the risks will start coming up as you're executing. So what are the strategies that you have put in place to follow up that risk when they begin to manifest? Let me give you an example. We had a construction project in Lifecam, phase 3, Urban Shelter Limited. I had the privilege to supervise 2 condominium buildings. Now, there's what we call concealed tank. The modern way of construction of our toilet now is that if you enter some toilets, you see the WC and you see something on top. If you raise it, you see water inside it. Also, close it back. But lately, there are some you don't see like that. They are embedded into the wall. So what you just need to do after your business, you just press one button and water comes out. So that place where the water is sealed is what we call concealed tank. Now, because it's a modern building, we're going to be using concealed tank. So concealed tank has been used in the phase 1 of that project and phase 2. Now we're in phase 3. So they went to the market to find that same concealed tank to be used, and they couldn't get it. And we have gone ahead to carry out our construction in the method in which the old concealed tank that we use in phase 1 and 2 should be installed. So when they went to the market and they found another concealed tank, they had to come back and break the walls that we have built already. So on the process of breaking that wall, one of the contractors' worker, the block fell on his leg. Yes. And he spent about 2 months in the hospital. Now what happened is, what was our response? Now we already erected partition wall on its own. So the next thing we are building for that concealed tank is a dwarf wall. So that dwarf wall is not key to the previous existing wall. So what we now did was to key the block this way, kill it at the middle, and kill it by the end. So in any way that anybody is breaking, it's not going to follow. So in your projects, risks will come. How do you respond? How many of us have fried fish here before? If you have fried fish, you will know that when you're about to put the fish into the oil, you begin to distance yourself from the hot oil, not so. But some people have developed some strategy. They'll go and carry a very big pot cover. They'll use it as shield. As soon as they put the fish, they do like this. That's a strategy. And I saw one on Instagram some time ago. The lady just opened this part, then he puts a fork spoon, he put his hand inside. So as he's turning the fish, when the thing is doing ta 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 ta, he's hitting the container so it will not mix. So those are strategies. So in your projects, anything you are doing, there is risk. So in your projects, look out for those risks, and once they begin to come up, you begin to attend to them. So the strategies you are going to use, you begin to implement those strategies. Then number 9, we manage quality. Another word for manage quality is quality assurance. In planning, you already talk about quality control, not so? You did. What is the difference between quality control and quality assurance? Difference between quality control and quality assurance. Anybody? Quality control and quality assurance. Okay, let me quickly go ahead. Quality control, as your work is ongoing, as execution is ongoing, as you are generating performance, as a result, deliverables are coming up. You need to check, is there any error? As you are going, did we make mistake here? Check, check. That's you providing control. Are we together? Then quality assurance. At the end of the day, when we are done with this project, we now carry our plan. Hey, what we plan for, is that actually what we delivered? And you begin to check and check and check. So that's the difference. So in managing your quality, you just need to check for these things. And of course, number 10 is for us to manage stakeholders' engagement. How do you manage stakeholders' engagement? How do you involve them? How do you allow that their concern does not become an issue? So these are the 10 processes that are there in executing our projects. So let's take them now one after the other. We just did brief introduction of each. Now, this is how the process runs. If you have observed, for each processes, we have input. For each processes, we have input, which I've mentioned before. I made an example with cooking jollof rice. We have input. Now we have tools and techniques. And of course, we have output. Now, some of these processes, some of them, their input are the same. Their tools and techniques are different, and the results are the same. So when I take one process, if I get to the next process, I may not talk about the input. I'll just go direct to the tools and techniques. Are we okay? Just to save time. We are good? All right, so direct and manage projects work. The main question now is, what really happens during execution? What really happens when project is being executed? This is what happens. 1, you perform activities to accomplish project requirements according to specification. That's what happens. And 2, you create project deliverables. Results are coming up. And number 3, you staff, you train, and of course, manage the team members assigned to the project. We have briefly talked about this. Then the next one is for us to obtain, manage, and use resources, including materials, tools, equipment, and facilities. And number 5 is for us to implement the plan method and standard. There are strategical ways we are going to carry out some activities, not so. So at the point of execution, you need to use those standards. And number 6 is for us to establish and manage project communication channel, both external and internal to the project team. So your reports may be weekly, maybe monthly, maybe annually, and sometimes you may just have a summary of how your project work is ongoing. And number 7 is you generate project data, such as cost, schedule, technical and quality progress, and of course, status and facilitate forecasting. You know, as you're executing your projects, you are generating data, not so. Week 1, we're able to carry out these activities. Week 2, we're able to carry out these activities. And as those activities are going on, cost is being made, not so. Days are going by, not so. So you begin to tell us, how much have you spent here? How long have you spent on this process? Then you do some technical and quality evaluation progress. Are we meeting up with the standard? So now that will now give you an idea of forecasting. Imagine you're supposed to carry out an activity for a day. And by 12 p.m. in the afternoon, you have seen that you have not even done 50% of that job. Do you think at the end of that day you finish that job? How will you be able to, how did you know that you will not finish that job? It's because you have done some part of the work to some extent and you have been able to see, as they do like this, they go. We no go better. So that's it. Then number 8, issue change requests and adapt approved change into the project scope, plan, and environment. So when it gets to a point in your project, which we are even going to talk much about, do you know that as you plan, sometimes it doesn't go that way, not so? Yes. So you may need to write or request for change. Change requests may come up. Because as you plan, it's not going to work. So you may need to talk to the sponsor. I want to make some changes here. So it happens during execution. Manage risk and implement risk response activities. I think we just briefly talked about it. So the risk that you have identified in your planning, you begin to, you identify in your execution, you begin to quickly use strategies to attend to them. And in execution of our project, we manage sellers and suppliers. We talk about vendors, people we recruit into our project, third party, the people we outsource our project to. We manage them. It's part of our activity for us to manage them. And of course, number 11, you collect and document lesson learned and implement approved process improvement activities. Now, if you have done something before and you are repeating it again, you will find out that you will have a smooth running in the second time you are doing it. Not so, because you have done it before and you have already learned some lessons. So those lessons you have learned, you have implemented them in the next time you are carrying out that activity. So those lessons that you have learned, you need to document it. Once you have it documented, even somebody that is coming to say, hey, you have now become an expert judger. They will come to you, hey, how were you able to actually manage this situation? So anything you learn during any project, processes, execution, please, you need to document it. We used to call it small PA, personal assistant. You just write, okay, when this one happened, this is what I was able to do. When this one happened, this is what I was able to do. So these are the things that happen during execution of our project. Now let's go. Now, we just talk about making changes, not so. In your plan, change may happen. There are 3 important things that actually cause changes in your project. There are 3 reasons why you may want to make changes. One of them is what? Corrective action. It could be that you have seen how things are going in your project and you know that it is not going to work. It's not working. Then you need to make change requests. That's corrective action. This thing no go work as we plan it. Where would they? So no. We don't go achieve what we want to achieve for this thing. So make we make change requests. That's corrective action. Then the next one is preventive action. This project, what will they carry out? Okay. This project, what will they carry out? Why the first manual is something? Just listen. We're supposed to use 1 week. Today is Friday. And we have just done 75% of that job. Or perhaps, let me even put it this way. We have 1 week for an activity to carry out the activity. And we have worked 1, 2, 3 days. They gave us 1 week. We have worked 1, 2, 3 days. We are in the 3rd day. And we are still, at the end of the 3rd day, we are at 50% of that job. Now you have seen that we will not deliver. Because we are left with what? 2 days. You did scheduling, right? You did scheduling. You talk about days. So when you notice that, the preventive action will now be, I think we need to increase more hands so as to deliver that project by the end. Then the third one is what? Defect repair. All of us are humans, not so. Abi, do we have any robot in the house? All of us are humans, so we can make mistakes. So when you have made mistakes, what do you do? Sometimes some of us try to cover it. We try to just cover it. No. How do I do it? But the truth is, the best thing would be that you correct it. Don't build in error. Because once you begin to build in error, what happens at the end of the day? Will you get the desired result? No. We talk about control, not quite long. Are we together? Are we together, guys? So we can make change simply because we make mistakes. That's the whole point. So sometimes these mistakes that we make may require additional costs, may require additional time for us to fix it. So once it tells on these areas, we need to talk to the sponsor. Because you know, go carry your money, they repair things. Not so. You need to request for change, talk to the sponsor. But of course, if there are minor issues that you can handle, why not? You just go ahead and make those changes. So these are the 3 reasons why we may want to request for change. So the basics of managing your execution is the input or executing of a project plan. So we use the plan and every other relevant document of project as a guide to execute our project. So if you look at your screen now, we have the input. So these are the documents we use to carry out direct and manage project work. We have the project management plan. We have project document, and under project document, we have change log, lesson learned registered, milestone list, that is your target. You guys talk about milestone, right? Your target. We have not discussed milestone. Okay. Okay, I think maybe he's in control. He mentioned it, Abi. Abi, we don't forget. Yeah? Project communication, project schedule, requirement traceability metrics. You remember this one? Risks register, risks report. And of course, approve change request document, enterprise environmental factor. That one happened maybe the first or second contact with him, Mr. Madi. He talked about enterprise environmental factor and organizational process asset. Not so. Don't tell me, say, when I don't forget. Hey. I don't want to shout like Portable. Wala. Okay. Now let's look at the tools. What tools and techniques are we using to direct and manage our project work? As you see your screen, we have expert judgment. So during execution, what do we expect from you as a strategy? You ask questions, you talk to people you know that are experienced, people who have done similar work before, people who have done similar projects. Because once you have your plan, what happens? Work starts. So anything that is manifesting during your execution, what do you need to do? You need to find your way around it. And one of the ways of finding your way around it is to ask people, talk to people, ask questions. Are we together? So you seek people's opinion. It is very important. Then the next one is project management information system. Have a strategic way of organizing your project management information. If you check your WhatsApp group, only the admins are allowed to post. So anytime an information drops on that WhatsApp group, you know that it is important because you know that it is one of the admin that has just dropped that message. That is our own strategy of sending out information to you guys. So as a project manager, you need to have a strategy. You need to know how you can send this information to your stakeholders, your team members, none of that. So whether you are using a WhatsApp group or whatever the case, whatever platform you want to use, why not? Maybe blog. You just need to look for a way to send your message across. You can also have file open, maybe in your office, where lesson learned, what you did last week, the report. Okay. So just make sure you send the information and let everybody get it. Then the next one is meeting. Let's pay attention. The next one is meeting. Meeting gives us an avenue for us to know how our project is going. Meeting will always come up as we make progress. Meeting will always come up. So meeting is very important. Meeting gives us an overall overview of how our project is going. Let's assume that this is A, this is B, this is C and D. These are groups. Now, group A has a different task. Group B has a different task. Group C has a different task, and Group D has a different task. I tell you, once I give these tasks, as soon as you file out of this place, if you do Group A, you know, so nothing concerning with people in Group B. You know, you just want to focus on your own and deliver. Same thing with Group B. They want to focus on their own and deliver. But when we now call you guys back, now have a meeting like this. Hey, Group A Alpha. Group A will now begin to tell us, this is where we are, this is where we are. Group B Alpha. Now, as Group A is talking about their progress, Group B has heard them, C and D has heard. So it gives us an overall view of how. So meeting is very, very. While still on that project in Life Camp, a meeting we're supposed to hold, some stakeholders didn't come. Then one of the contractors was now emphasizing his experience on how important meeting is. And in that meeting, he said, while he was in another site, meeting is ongoing. As meeting is ongoing, the sponsor came around and saw a guy walking. And he called the guy, how far now? Why did he walk? Can't you see that meeting is going? The guy said, okay, that one are their own. This one I be my. And the guy called the project manager. I said, look, how much has this guy work? Pay him off, let him go. The reason is simple. In that meeting that is ongoing, they might be changing what is working on. So it will continue to build, you know. Sometimes when you even work to your organization, you see some arrangements, some things have changed. That's because something has happened behind closed doors. So meeting is also a way of supervising your team. So let us quickly make progress. So of course, the output, this is what we have. We have deliverables, we have work performance data, we have issue log, we have change requests, we have project management plan updated, we have project document also updated, we have organizational process asset also updated. Now, talking about project management plan being updated, you know, we have said things may not go as we plan. For example, you are giving 8 million naira to carry out a certain project. And as time progresses, you find out that there are some things that has to change. So you write to the sponsor requesting for additional 2 million. And once the sponsor approves that additional 2 million, what happens to your project management plan? The plan is carrying what? How much is the plan carrying? 8 million. And you have just granted 2 million naira to you. So what is in the plan? Is it still correct? So you need to go back and update it. So that's what it means. You understand? Let me tell you guys about a personal project that also had to make changes. If you are here, how many of us are communists? Okay. For me, when I come to Abuja, so can just picture it for those of us who come to Abuja. When I went to NYC orientation camp in Bua, see what I went there to look for was, I went there to look for a wife. I didn't go there to do. Some of you are wondering, are you whining me? So you whine me all your years in the university, what did you use it to do? I will tell you, I don't know if Grace is here. Grace is, she studied architecture. It is very tedious. What happened is, there is no time for social life. You just focus, you are just there. So throughout the years, and I'm a slow drafter, so I need to pay attention or I'll be kicked out of the school. So our only source of having entertainment is sometimes we sleep in the class, we call it studio. So what happened is early in the morning, because my department is in a strategic position. So anybody that is coming in, we see them, the tall, the short, the beautiful, the handsome, and all of them. So around 6 a.m., just peep by the window. Then we'll begin to assign ourselves wives. Yes. Now, in our department, it's not as if we don't have ladies. But after first semester, they all begin to look like men. That's it. So that was it throughout. So when I got to camp, I said, this is where I need to express myself. And I happened to be one among the first person who got to camp. So when we did the whole registration, the law being good for us to come to parade ground, I said, okay, everything is set. It is now time for. Do you know that when I got to the parade ground, that is when I understand that it's not only me that had a project plan. There were other people who are there for similar reasons. And when I begin to plot my own graph, I saw that another person was plotting his own graph and we are intersecting at the point. So at that point, I did it for like 2-3 days because new people keep coming. The person you are eyeing before, another person has come to overshadow that person. So at the end of the day, I said, no, how can you find life into 1 day? It's possible, right? So I just had to pause and make so many friends. So that at the end of the day, I'll just scroll through my WhatsApp one day and say, okay, you be the wife. Does anybody care to know how that project is going? I'm a boy. You know that song? I see they run, kitty kitty. I see they run. And another song came up that says, adulthood now. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it. So what's the point? The point is in your project, there will come a time where you need to make some changes. So just go ahead and request for those changes. So manage project knowledge. What's the input? The input still remains the same. What's the tools and techniques? Expert judgment and surface again. Now, knowledge management. Sometimes in a project, you have people who are experienced, who have worked on similar projects, maybe for the past 20 years. And as a project manager, what do you need to do? Take advantage. Take advantage of those guys because those guys know so much. That's what is still under knowledge management. And of course, information management. What information do you think will be useful for this project? Who do you think knows so much that can be of help? That is one of the interpersonal skills you can now need to develop. One of them is active listening. You want to listen. If somebody comes to complain, you want to listen. And when you are asking somebody, and only you keep talking and talking and talking, when do you expect the person to give you feedback? The person will just be frustrated. We wouldn't want to even give you a positive feedback. And also, having the capacity to facilitate discussion in a positive and a conclusive end. Some people are easily carried away when they start a discussion. We are talking about project execution. No, you don't talk of mine, just. Some people are easily distracted. So your ability to facilitate discussion positively to a conclusive end is one of those things we expect you to have when you are managing project knowledge. And of course, leadership skill, your ability to influence people in order for you to get what you are looking for from them. And also another one is networking. In this class now, before it ends, I will make like up to 5 to 10 friends at the end of this class. That's networking. So you need to build your network capacity. Don't always go and beg. Make friends, make 1 or 2 contacts. I'm sure Mr. Amadi said, don't sit in a flight for 2 hours, 5 hours, and you don't know who the next person that is sitting next to you, not so. So it is very important. And also another thing is, you need to be politically aware. When we say politically awareness, we're not talking about APC or PDP, no, or Labour Party, no. We're talking about those people in your organization that cut the shot. Who are those guys that when they talk, it stands? So you need to attach yourself to those people. They call it boardroom politics, and some people call it diplomacy. So you need to understand it. Then of course, once the output still remains the same for the previous process. And of course, the next process is acquire resources. It means going out there, working with people, various head of department, just to see that people you need for your project is gotten, the materials you need for the project is also gotten, everything you need to execute your project is available. Acquire resources, simply just means get the equipment, get the materials, get the labor. Simple. Just get it and you start your work. So as a project manager during your acquiring process, you also need to have a negotiation. You need to negotiate the right kind of persons for your project. Negotiate people that will come and give you high performance. Are we together? I am a bit fast because I just find out that I'm running behind time. So most organizations will actually prefer to hire some of these resources. The reason is simply because if I buy an equipment, it means that I must provide a warehouse. I must also do maintenance, not so. I will also provide security. Those are overhead costs. But when I go and hire them, I just hire, use, and give it back to them. So it saves me costs. The same thing with labor, the human component of our resources. Sometimes we recruit people into our organization. If you go to the bank, you hear contract staff and permanent staff. Those contract staff, no pension, no gratuity, no benefit, blah, blah, so all of those things are out of organization. So that's why sometimes you just see, just for that project, you just say, okay, well, for 6 months. If you are used to United Nations jobs, they will just specifically state 3 months, 6 months. Then there's possibility of extension. That's how you see it. So these are the reasons why when acquiring resources, some organization may actually not just buy some equipment or hire you permanently. So don't blame them. Then of course, the input still remains the same. Then what are the tools and techniques? So how do we acquire resources? Yes. How do we acquire resources? It involves decision making. Sometimes we work with the MD, CEO, some head of department, so as to decide the resources that we need to deploy for our project. Of course, you cannot just deploy, so you work with them. You talk to the MD, the sponsor, none of that. So there are some criteria that will guide us when it comes to making decisions about acquiring resources. You may want to write. I don't think it's in your manual. You may want to write. Criteria that will guide us when acquiring resources. Number 1, availability of that resources. Just right, availability of that resources. Location of that resources, that's 2. Number 3, cost implication of that resources. Location, geographical location. Number 1, availability. 2, geographical location. 3, cost implication of that resources. Costs. Yes, cost implication of that resources. Then number 4, attitude. So what you want to ask yourself is, for the availability of that resources, is this resource going to be available throughout the course of our project? That's one thing you want to ask yourself. Is this resources going to be available throughout the duration of our project? 2, location. Where is the geographical location of these resources? Can we easily just get it? And number 3, what's the cost implication? Then 4, attitude. I know you may be wondering, how does attitude relate to this number 1, 2, and 3? You see, you will always recruit team members into your project, not so. So what attitude do they have? Do they have attitude of collaboration? Can they work with people, or they want to work isolated? I have been to different government parastatals, and I can tell you that the attitude is different from private sector, not so. I was in High Court, Nitama, just for them to print 2 documents, 2 paper. The guy, they tell me, say, they don't get me paper. The whole of that High Court, there was no paper. I called him another time, how far? He said, our printer spoiled. That's attitude. But I understand the language. It was so who you are deploying to your project, what kind of attitude do they have? Do you understand? So that's it. So one of the interpersonal skills you also need in acquiring resources is your negotiation skill. Go and learn this from our mothers. Yes. Go and learn negotiation skill from our mothers. They will tell them 1 tuber of yam is 2,000. They will gather 3 tuber of yam and say 800 no carry them. It's a skill. If organization know that you know how to negotiate, you're good. So go and learn. So it's also part of interpersonal skills. So, however, sometimes the sponsor will just say to you, look, what's your name, ma? Yes. Khadijat. Yes, we have a project. What's your name, sir? Yes. Yes. Maxwell. Maxwell, the project we have, Khadijat will be available throughout the course of that project. I know you have the liberty to choose your team, but Khadijat be among your team. Hey, Maxwell, the materials to be used for this project, I still have some bag of cement in my container at home. So the one that they are bringing to the side, don't use that yet. Come and carry the ones in my house. Hey, Maxwell, the mixer that we are going to use in casting the floor. I know we bought a new one, but you see the one at home. Let's use it first. Let's see how good it is. When you hear statements like this, it means your resources is pre-assigned. Are we together? It's not as if you don't have liberty to choose your resources, but some of them has been pre-assigned. So sometimes we manage our resources. We manage and acquire our resources with virtual teams scattered all over the place. You agree with me that for the past 2 years, even right now, a lot of people have been working from home. And even right now, we have people who are on Zoom, about 44 of them on Zoom, and they are not here. And we have a very large crowd in the class. So virtual team, you can see acquire resources even virtual team. How many of us have seen one Glo advert where the wife was at home, the husband was in the market, and the wife was telling the husband, "Oh yeah, snap, let me see that meat." You have seen that advert. Glo adverts, yes. That's virtual communication. And the husband, the wife at home is telling the husband, that means why they see no fresh. You understand? So it can also happen. In fact, one of the interpersonal skills I'm particularly looking forward to is when I eventually get married, I want to, yes. Okay, so that means when I said, if you don't get it, forget about it, you didn't get it. You got it. So I've said to myself, I'm going to build a mini store in my house. Yes, and I will go to the village and get some village things like firewood, calabash, village oil, all sorts of things I can get from the village. And I was, you said? Don't worry, when I conclude, you understand that where I'm from, it does not matter. So, now I'm getting all of these things before my wife gets pregnant. Because by the time she gets pregnant, in the middle of the night, she will just wake you up, honey. I want to eat jollof rice made with red oil, served inside calabash, covered by leaves. What do you do? What do you do? That's proactive measures. That's the one I'm going to put in place. And I also learn how to fry eggs with red oil. Pregnant women love it. And if I'm making my tea, it's going to be in 3 different varieties: hot, cold, and warm, and different sugar level. They're not going to kill me. I am well equipped and prepared. So those are interpersonal skills you can actually put in place. You see, at the end of the day, I was actually expecting you guys to do, I try now, Abby. I'm planning. All right, so let's proceed. So when acquiring resources, the physical resources will always be assigned. The physical resources will always be assigned. Sometimes we may have individual team members who are on a project. We may be maybe running 2 projects at the same time. And because we have said, one of the ways to cut down costs is actually not to increase price. One of the ways to cut down costs is not for us to increase price. So we can deploy, let's say Khadijat needs to be in project A. Khadija also needs to be in project B. Instead of us to go and hire another Khadijat, we'll use this Khadijat. So Khadijat, this is the schedule. You will be in project A for week 1, week 2. Then we'll deploy you to project B for week 2, week 3. So how will I now know when Khadijat is available if I'm in project B? Resource calendar. Resource calendar. Now, I just said that for us to cut down costs or for us to manage our projects, sometimes we don't need to increase price. In fact, it's not the best way. When we have a project, okay, economy is somehow, so let's increase price. It's not always the best. It's for us to now cut down. So now we have 2 projects running concurrently. And we have Khadijat, who has a role to play in a project. So instead of keeping Khadijat in one project from beginning to the end, we will now come up with what we call resource calendar. That resource calendar will tell us when Khadijat will be available for project A. That resource will also tell us when Khadijat will be available for project B. Same thing applies to equipment. Are we together? Is it clear? Very clear, right? So, of course, the rest are what we have been seeing so far. Let's make progress. Develop teams. Part of your execution work is to develop team. What does this mean? It means to provide them with opportunity to enhance their capability. One thing you must know is that team members have a way of learning from each other. That is still part of development. So having your team in one location really helps, yes. That doesn't mean that if they are scattered all over the place, communication cannot happen. Communication can still happen. All we just need to do is deploy communication technology. So most time when organizations recruit new staff members, the next thing they do is for them to train those staff members. The training is also a way of developing them, just like the one you are taking now is training, and you are doing it personally for yourself. And it gives you an edge over people who have not done this training. So they engage newly recruited staff members with older staff members, sometimes for 2 weeks, sometimes for a month, and all of that. If you have gone to the bank before and you want to withdraw money from the counter, sometimes you see 2 people. One person is understudying the other person. That's team development. So when it comes to phases of team development, this is how the life cycle goes. This is how the development of your life cycle of development team goes. Look at the screen. So the first thing you are seeing there is forming. What happened at this stage? Everybody is excited. Hey, are they part of this project? Oh, why are they excited? Maybe there is some incentive. They like the project manager. They like the location. It's very close to their house. A lot of things. So as a project manager, what do you do at that point? Is it what you need to do is for you to embrace their joy, but at the same time, remind them why they are formed as a team. Then the next thing that happens is storming. They begin to antagonize each other. We're doing a project down here, very close, opposite Taj Bank. There's this building, Galaxy Bank Road. I had a boss who was a boss. Yes. Now in that project, we are not the direct owner of that project. So there's a project manager that will report. So my boss has done many projects, and I like him for one thing. His work always stand out. His work always stand out. Precision and accuracy. On the other hand, the project manager is an engineer. An engineer, see, sometimes engineers don't look at those things. Precision, accuracy, I beg, let's just do a. So what we are doing there is for us to do finishing, tiling, and of course, painting of the wall and ceiling. Now, the building is already an existing building. We are just coming in. So there are errors. So those errors, what we needed to do was just to see how we can work around it. But for my boss, who his aim is always on precision and accuracy, when he sees something, he wants to correct it. And the engineer, on the other hand, is saying, these guys have already built this thing. Let's see how we can manage with their errors. And it became a heated argument one day, and they begin to insult each other. Mature men. If you come to where I work, you cannot talk, Engineer Yusuf. Architect Toye, let us bring down the whole building because you are Mr. Perfectionist. It was a heated argument. But as a junior architect, what do I need to do? I just need to listen to the two sides of the story and pick what I need to pick. So, if I'm working with an engineer tomorrow, I know how to deal with him, not so. If I'm working with an architect tomorrow, I know how to handle such cases, not so. Exactly. So during the storming stage, you will see, hey, sit down, you don't know what you're talking about. That's what happens. When I newly came into the team of the project we carried out in Life Camp, you will see the mason, you will see the carpenter, you will see the iron bender. They will be telling you, okay, now so we did do it. I don't know if we're together. So the first few months, because you need to tell them that you are in charge. But sometimes, some of those things are really not necessary. So for the first 3 months, we're having it heated. because me said no go agree. So at the end of the day, we're able to come together, and that's what happens in NOMI. Begin to understand each other. Okay, we are here because of this project. It's not as if we are here to come and fight, but that selfish, antagonistic behavior is still there. Then after NOMI, what happens? The team goes into performing. They now understand that, see, we are formed as a team. Let us do what we're supposed to do. There's now synergy, there's now collaboration. What the military will now call esprit de corps. There's team building, team cohesion, yes. And of course, after performing, we're going to adjourn or close of the project. So at this point in time, as a project manager, you begin to place a call to your HR. In 2 weeks, so we'll finish this work, please begin to reassign some of my team members to other jobs. And some who were recruited just for that project, they will have mixed feeling. They are not too happy, they are not too excited. The reason is because they were just recruited for that job. So after that job, they will start looking for another job. So that's what happens in the life cycle of developing your team. Now, you need to pay attention to this important thing. You need to pay attention carefully, per time, how your team members are doing, like performance. What do I need to do to motivate my team members to keep working, to be giving their very best? You can now deploy interpersonal skills. Psychology. Some of us who study psychology, you know of the instinct theory, the drive theory, Hesberg motivational theory, and all of those. McGregor's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and all of that. So you need to pay attention. How do you need to motivate these guys? For Hesberg's motivational theory, that is hygiene theory, you figured out that what you need is like a good working condition, a satisfying personal life, a good relationship with your boss and co-worker, factor you call hygiene. They don't motivate you, but you need them before you can be motivated. All of these things are grammar. This is what he's trying to say. Imagine this morning you walk into this class, there are no chairs. Now instead of me to be smiling, I frown my face. The people who are there to welcome you are not even paying attention to you. When you now come here and begin to discuss, will you listen to me? No. So what he's saying is, if there is chair, if I'm smiling, if I'm approachable, if the people out there have welcomed you, then the next thing is to motivate you will not be difficult because there are some basic things that has already been met. So to motivate you now is easy. That's what hygiene theory is just talking about. Then McGregor's theory is saying, look, we have manager X and manager Y. Manager X believes that every one of you is selfish. Once the organ everybody go to do what they like. Then manager Y, if you say, no, I trust my team members. If I'm not there, they will deliver. Are we together? So in adjourning, what's the behavior? Mixed feelings, some are happy, some are not happy. Now let me just briefly talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It says the lower ones need to be satisfied first, not so, before we move to the upper ones. Are we together? We're not together. It's not there, don't worry. It's not there. It's not there. Okay, we're together now. So if you have come across this Maslow hierarchy of needs, you already know what it is. The lower things need to be satisfied first. Maslow's hierarchy is saying humans have numerous needs in nature. There are different things that we all need, not so. But there are some things that need to be satisfied first. And it starts from the lower one. And the lower one is talking about the physiological needs. Food, shelter, sex, warmth. Imagine you have a team member who is planning to go for a wedding. So she has a red or a pink wig on. Yes. Then she looked at her wardrobe. She saw a pink dress. Then the next thing is for her to be looking for a pink shoe, pink spec, a pink wristwatch, and she'll be saying to herself, that wedding, we go shut down, pepper them down. What Maslow's hierarchy is saying now is that, look, if that your team member on Monday, she no see food chop. On Tuesday, she managed to get Gary. On Wednesday, somebody invited her, oh yeah, come and eat. On Thursday, no food at all. By Friday night, she will not be thinking of those things. So those lower ones has to be satisfied first. So once that one has been satisfied, you begin to. So now, you, as a project manager, you need to pay attention to the stage where your team member is. Are we together? So you can do the remaining research on your own about the hierarchy. So let's make progress. So this, of course, this is the input. This is the input, develop team. And of course, what's the tools and techniques we use? How do you develop your team? What are the techniques that are involved? When you have your team together, they have a way of learning from each other also. So it's a strategy, you keep them together, let them rub minds, learn from each other. You can also use information technological system. You can deploy them into your team. These days, from time to time, you see company staff come together. They are not together in one place. They're on Zoom, they're on Skype. They're just having virtual communication. So co-location and virtual team. So you can also use some of your interpersonal skills to develop your team. How do you resolve conflicts? How do you resolve conflicts? Conflict management. How do you influence your team members? How do you motivate them? I just spoke partially about motivation. Negotiation. Team building activity. Now, team building activity is non-working related. Let's assume that at the end of our project management class, because I understand that, see, I know that as you all are seated here, you have been taking other courses, right? Project management looks so technical, and it's the longest that you have sat for. So it will be fair that at the end of this project management, I just say, guys, let's go somewhere, let's relax. What's happen? You agree? Let's go. So as a project manager, call your team members, bring them to your house, dance together, have fun, go hiking, play table tennis, play football. You can invite them to your house, make barbecue. Now tell me, when you do this, when you have another project and you assemble that same thing, what will happen? There will be high performance level. So it must not always be work relationship, like my boss. We can sit in the car from here to there when we are going to get material, we're not going to talk to each other. Yes, that is how it is. Then at a point, I just had to leave. I told him, look, you are good for your style of leadership and your relationship with your coworkers. I actually left during my service here. I left at the middle. I said, I no longer take it. Yes. You see, may God give us better boss. It's very important. Hey. Boy, he was a good man, but you know, like they say, person not a good finish. Boy, he was a good man. But his attitude towards work, his relationship, You will agree with me that I'm approachable from the time being that I've spent in this class. And that is how I want to be with my workers. But when it comes, it makes everything so rigid. And I cannot adapt to your own system because I'm built differently. So if you want to change me, the thing no agree work. It did not work. And there are some statements that might actually just kill your morale. Imagine your boss telling you for 6.5 years that you don't know anything. Sometimes, from the beginning, it will look as if it's an encouragement for you to develop. But I've worked with different people. And I can tell you, it is a habit to kill you for some people. Shortly after, that's when I met Mr. Madi. Self-confidence. Even things that I know, I'm not confident that I know them. It was this training that revived it. So please, if you find out that psychologically, because we don't take mental health seriously, if you find it that this thing is affecting you, please find your way out of that environment. So many people are depressed. So many people have gone into depression from there. Reward recognition system. Do not always use a single reward system. For example, what's your name, man? Yes. You said? Wemimo. Wemimo is a team member in our projects. And Wemimo always deliver the activity that's given to her. Everybody pay attention. Hey, she delivers. She comes early to work and she closes late, just to make sure that she meets up a milestone. Then I walk into the office and I saw Wemimo. After 5, Wemimo, you still there here? Say, yes, I'm trying to. Then at the end of the month, I just say, okay, Wemimo's salary is ₦1 million, and I decided to top it up with 200,000. Then instead of Wemimo to keep it to herself, she began to gist Freda, she began to gist Abdul Salam, she began to gist Khadijat. Then the next month, I begin to see people in my office, they don't want to go home. So don't use individual reward system. Hey guys, if we finish this job between Monday and Thursday, everybody, on Friday, stay in your house. What will happen? You will see everybody collaborating. How far? Give me that document and make a sharply. Are we together? Training is also another techniques and tools we use in developing our team, such as this one. Sometimes in your organization, you have people who are experienced. Once you come in, they just train you. Sometimes when the money is not enough, the funds is not enough to send everybody out of the country for training, they just send 1 or 2 persons to go out. When those ones do the training, they come back and retrain the rest people. Then, of course, individual team assessment, periodical appraisal. See, I can ask, guys, I've been here for like an hour plus. How do you think I'm doing with my facilitation? Am I doing well? Is it okay? What are areas that I need to improve? I am not doing that so that you can maybe fire me and say, we don't want that facilitator again. No. What I'm doing is for me to develop myself. Let me see areas where I need to improve. So you can do that in your organization. Find out, what area do you think I can improve? Are we together? Then, of course, meeting. We have overemphasized meeting. How meeting is important. And of course, we have the output, and the output remains the same. Then manage team. Manage team is more like working close with individual team members, because you need to provide help, and they need that help during when they are working. Because sometimes we may have a team member that is just loafing around. Because it's a group work, your performance is not showing. How many of us have done group work while in school? In that group work, you will see the overzealous and the one that is not even interested. Those are the 2 categories of people you see. And fortunately, if the lecturer comes into the class and now decide to pick that person that is not interested, how far now? Where on stop? Because I don't know. Now this person they do. You understand? So as a project manager, watch out. Work with them one-on-one. When you begin to work with them one-on-one, nobody no go perform. Are we together? Then the next one is for us to manage. Of course, we're talking about manage team, right? So what's the input? The input still remains the same, guys. And of course, when you do that, you will observe that there could be conflict among your team members when you work with each and every one of them. You understand there's a conflict? Then there are ways that we can actually work with this conflict management. One of them is withdrawing and avoiding. If you know what it will cause fight between me and you, don't do it, don't engage. If you know that this thing will cause fight between me and this team member, don't do it, just avoid. Are we together? So when you do that, it means you are proactive. You are showing emotional intelligence. Then the next one is smoothing and accommodating. It's another interpersonal skills that we can apply. We focus on what we have in common, the areas where we both agree instead of the area where we disagree. Khadija likes coming to the office very early. Wemimo likes coming to the office very early. And both of them has just been prepared to carry out a task. How do you think it will go? Smoothly. Oh, Khadija, now around 10, she like come. I have to slay now. Why would I just be coming to the office like that? Wemimo, overzealous. Where are you? What do you think will happen? That activity. So you both need to look for the areas where you agree. And compromising and reconciling. What does it mean? In a conflict situation, you need to forego some circumstances. Another party will also forego some circumstances. Have you been in a scene where somebody crashed another person's car? Do you know who are? Just a small scratch. And they are beginning to speak grammar. But just not to create scene. Okay, no worry. I've seen a situation where somewhere in Sky Memorial, BMW, a Benz, yes, they collided, and these guys came out. And the first thing the guy asks is, how far? Is everybody okay inside your vehicle? And the guy was like, yes. What about you? He said, we are fine. Do you have insurance? Say yes. What about you? Say yes. They exchanged phone number and they left. Did you just say Marama? Let's go, guys. There has been a situation in this country for years. A situation in this country for years. ASU and federal government. God go help them. Amen. So a win-win situation is what we are talking about when you forgo reconciling, compromising and reconciling. Hey guys, I'm the project manager. This is how we are going to do this thing. Any other suggestion is not welcome. This is how we do it. What am I doing? Hey, guys, how far? This situation, how do you think we can do it? Khadija, can you raise suggestion? Abdusalam, can you raise suggestion? Wemimo, can you just suggest something? What am I doing? Are we together? Let's proceed, please. Then, of course, decision-making comes in. Emotional intelligence, influencing, leadership skill, we have talked about them. Project management, information system. Those are tools that we use. And of course, what's the output? The output still remains the same. Then the next one is for us to conduct procurement. Part of what we do in execution is for us to conduct procurement. What does it mean? It simply means recruit vendors you want to work with. One of the ways to conduct procurement is through advertisements. The common way is to make your intention known to the bidders. And once you want to do this, it's through advertisement, whether on newspaper, online, or maybe you already have a database where you just send those advertisements. When I was working in the legal firm, they used to send us search reports. For those of us who are lawyers, you know what I'm talking about. They'll send us reports through a portal. So we just go to the portal and pick it. Then we'll go to CAC and conduct the research. So conduct procurement simply means get the information out there first so that people will know what you have in mind for them to do for you. Now, sometimes the advertisement may not be detailed enough. Sometimes you just see, well, just apply, may not be detailed enough. Once you see such situation, you know that there will also be a time where there should be a bidder conference. So all the people who have applied for that role, as the advertisement is not well detailed enough, you invite them for a meeting. That meeting, that's where you will now spell out what you want them to do for you, so that they can now bid knowledgeably. Bidding knowledgeably means they are bidding with every information that you need them to carry out for you. So that such a meeting is what we call bidder conferences. And of course, you are going to do data analysis. You are going to evaluate their proposal. So you do financial evaluation, you do technical evaluation. And of course, you need interpersonal skill, like negotiation. So your ability to negotiate with these guys is very important. You will agree with me that when it comes to subletting our work, we need an agreement also to a third party. So we need an expert who can give me who can mention the person that we need in this particular time to draft an agreement for us. A lawyer, thank you very much. We need a lawyer to do that. And of course, at the end of the day, what do we have? We have the seller. You have selected the seller you want to work with, and then you drop that agreement with them, the kind of contract you want to use in working with them. Yes. At what point do we conduct procurement and acquire resources? At the point of execution. In your project, it's not everything that you do. Not so. So you outsource it. You can be an organization, you invite another organization. That's acquiring resources. Do you agree? Is it okay? Okay. Acquire resources and conduct procurement. I need a third party to carry out a work for me in my project. So I need to bring that third party in. The process through which I bring this guy in is what? Conducting procurement. You never see agree. You get the things you need. See, I understand the confusion. Yes, I understand the confusion. So let me just try and see how I can give an example that will aid it. You're working on a project. You cannot just work on the project. You need resources, not so. Material, labor, and equipment. Not so? Exactly. You may have that equipment in your organization. You may have that material in your organization. You may not. So these are the things you need to get. Now, how do you get them? There are processes. For example, a third party that is coming needs to submit a bid. Then you evaluate. That process is what we call conducting procurement. So you already know that you acquire. So whether it's within the organization. Now imagine you are carrying out all your activities. There is no need for you to conduct procurement. Abi, you do all the activities. But in most cases, you have to sublet. So one is a process, the other one you still have to do it. Manage communication. It means you generate the information about how your work is going. So one, you put those information in a format that various stakeholders can understand. And secondly, you distribute this information to the various stakeholders. And of course, there should be feedback. This is what we call managing communication. What's the input, guys? The input still remains the same. Then the tools and techniques. We want to ensure that every information that is due get to the stakeholders. Every information that is due get to the stakeholders. That's just my time. Just going to quickly rush for the rest. Are we in the page now? So we want to ensure that every information that is due get to the stakeholders. That's managing communication. And it has so much to do with applying or taking advantage of communication technology and decide the kind of communication method you want to use. It could be interactive method like this one. I try and make it as much as possible for it to be interactive. It could be the push method. Push method is suitable when there is need for urgent response. And of course, pull method, a method of allowing stakeholders to access information at their leisure. So you just go there and drop. Anytime when they want, they'll just go there and go pick. Have you seen suggestion box somewhere before? But have you written down anything and put in that suggestion box? Criticize. It helps them to develop. So you need to bring in your communication skill when you are communicating, your communication competence, and very important, both verbal and written one is very important. So you must always have a way of harvesting feedback from your various stakeholders. It is important. So when you send a communication, that is what will now help you to know whether you are meeting up with the requirements or not. So you also need to pay attention to the non-verbal action of your stakeholders, because some of them, just like, what's your name, sir? Tunji? Suji. The first time I tried to explain acquire resources and conduct procurement, no, it's a lie, I don't agree. This is my stakeholder. So when I notice, I need to satisfy this guy. So you, as a project manager, pay attention to the non-verbal expression of your stakeholder. Just pay attention. This one, like I say, get worried. Never, at any point in time, undermine any stakeholder's concern. You must also be somebody who has ability to make presentation, because sometimes your sponsor wants you to come. Oh yeah, tell us, how did you spend this money? You are requesting for additional 2 million naira. For what? Is it for? Don't be me talking. So I don't know. How many of us take public speaking and presentation? Please, I will also see you in that class. It is very important, because as a project manager, you face with people. You lead team, so you make presentation. Then of course, yeah, somebody's mic just came up, please kindly mute. So what are the tools and techniques? When you are communicating, you also know how to prepare your project report, what format to use. Now, sometimes when you get to an organization, they have formats, they have standard, they have strategy. Forget about your first class now. Forget about your grade. Use the company's standard. Use their templates. There is nothing you are trying to do that somebody else has not done before. Make life easy for yourself. No to show your. But of course, if there are no template, no standard, no strategy, whatever information you are passing out, make sure that stakeholders are carried along. That's just it. There's no two ways about it. So when you are communicating, you need to always deploy interpersonal skills such as listening. The project manager must always listen to stakeholders, hear what they want to talk, hear their concerns. You understand? So that as those issues are coming up, you begin to deal with them. So you must also be someone who has the ability to resolve conflicts, because as a project manager, complaints will be coming to you during execution. You must also be culturally aware. As an architect, I'm designing for a Muslim man, and at the end of the day, I just put an inscription of Jesus Christ. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? And vice versa. So you must, and even stakeholders, pay attention to their cultural difference. It just puts you in a safe place. Are we together? So in our locality, if you are not politically inclined, if you don't know how to argue politics, once you see APC, PDP, go your own. If you are an APC supporter, you join them. If you are PDP supporter, you join them and argue. But if you don't know anything, go your own. So just avoid. Are we together? Networking is also important. I've told you guys, please build your network right from here. You know, talking about networking, that's one thing, because I've actually network. So I try to make friends in every gathering. And sometimes, because of these things, I really don't pay attention to how I survive. Not until one time when I have, is it 800 naira that was left in my account? And I look at myself. There is this voice cover you always find on Instagram or Twitter. You need to think about your life. The thing just keep ringing in my head. So you need to network. And of course, we have also emphasized that meeting is a good vehicle for managing communication. Then, of course, implement risk response. You need to implement risk response strategy. What does that mean? You have already identified the risks that will happen in your project, not so, and you have anticipated them. And within yourself, you have seen that some certain risks are about to happen. What do you now need to do? You need to begin to put in those strategies that you have planned for. That's your response now. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? The MPOC remains the same. Of course, we're going to be using response tools, expert judgment, interpersonal skills, project management information system. So what do you need to do? Are you escalating that risk? Are you avoiding that risk? You talk about it in planning. Are you going to exploit it? Are you going to enhance it? Are you going to share? Are you going to accept? So whatever strategies that you have in mind, at the point of execution, that is when you need to begin to activate it. I saw one video on Instagram some time ago, and the woman just videoed herself, a broken car key, and she said to herself, well, as you can see, the key has broken inside the car. I have called Oga to come and carry his car. Me, I want to enter Keke and go home. So that is a risk. What has she done? You don't want. Please, ladies, check your radiator. Check your water. Check your engine level. If you are driving, please help us. I cannot just be at work and somebody will just call me, honey, motor don't stop for road. Please. So check all these things. But of course, kudos to the women, because I've seen some, they have opened the bonnet and they are knocking the battery head. This thing is full. You understand? So in your project, risk will come up. Yes. Project management information system. Yes, we talk about it's an information. An information. So what system are you using? We have said virtual communication happens. Were you in the class early enough, like when I started? Okay. I think I made an example of our WhatsApp group, not so. It's an information system where we drop the information. That is why you guys know that there is execution this morning. So we are saying take advantage of those information systems. Drop the message. Sometimes it is via mail. Sometimes you just need to do video conferencing. So many platforms, you know of them. So those are information technology systems that you can deploy. Are we together? Then manage quality. Manage quality. It means checking for errors so that any result you are getting during the execution process has no error. You know, as you're executing, deliverables are being made, not so. Results are coming up. You are generating data. So you need to be checking to be sure. What happened? What happened? I'm very fast. You said? For those of us online, I think you guys are already aware of what to do because I've been seeing names and phone number. They have been dropping. That is your attendance. So please, if you have not done so, just quickly do that. That's your attendance. Please begin to submit your attendance now because we're about wrapping up. So manage quality. As work is ongoing, you just need to keep checking for errors to be sure that there are no errors. So what we are saying is confirm that there are no errors. Confirm that the results made are according to specification or requirements. That is what we are saying. Are we together? Maybe another meeting will happen for back there. Okay, you agree? All right, let's continue. Let's continue. I'm about to round up. Let's continue. So be sure that they are working, whatever result you are generating. Be sure that they are functioning exactly the way the sponsor have asked you to build it. With this, we say you are assuring quality. So another word for managed quality is quality assurance. We used to call it quality assurance those days, but now we refer to it as managed quality. It simply means that every result I'm getting has no error in it. You may need to do some testing if need be. You may need to do some audits if need be. And of course, the input still remains the same. And this, so when you may need to probably do some checklist analysis, checking if deliverables that are made are working. Are the specification intact? What about this? Yes. What about that? Yes. Oh, this one will follow. Then you go back and correct it. So what are those tools that we use? There's what we call the Ishikawa diagram. You can see your screen. Cause and effect diagram. Okay, there's somebody who is actually not managing his device well because our screen is having some marks. So please, one of the best way to actually do it is for you to just leave the Zoom and come back. The thing will be out. So if you know you are the one that did it, please just quickly leave and come back so that those of us in class can see what we have on our screen. Then I think we have it on our manual. Can we see it? It's not clear enough. You're struggling to see it. All right. Okay, let's just go. I will just quickly mention them. So here, if you are with your pen, just people is here. Process, equipment. People, process, equipment. Then the down part, we have material, environment, and management. So people, process, equipment. Then the down part, we have material, environment, and management. So now, when errors come up, these are areas you need to trace it back to. Could it be that the error is coming from the people who are doing the work? The error is coming from them. Could it be that the error is coming from the process through which we carry out the activity? You trace back. Could it be that the issue is coming from equipment? Could it be that, oh, we're supposed to service that machine, I will not service it, and I make it. Could it be that the problem is coming from the management? I had an experience with urban shelters management. Oh, those guys, the administrative work, they are so slow. We paused our project for quite some time because we needed them to review our budget. We're carrying out that project during the COVID-19 era. And you will all agree, after the COVID-19, things skyrocketed, not so ahead. Price change in the market. And we could no longer work with the initial budget for the project. And we wrote to them, passionate appeal, guys, review this budget. It took them, we're out of sight for like 2 months. So sometimes problem may just be coming from management. How many of us, you all remember when you went back to do your clearance in school? They will tell you, go here, that's where sport, they go sign. And come here, that's where this one is. They'll just be pushing you. Poor management. So errors could be coming from that. So you just need to trace back in your project and find out where those errors are coming from and you correct it. Are we together? Then of course, manage stakeholders engagement. That's the last process of the execution. You are expected to manage stakeholders engagement. What exactly is stakeholders engagement? It simply means working close with your stakeholders so that you can be able to know. Let's have one house. Let's have one house. It simply means working close with your stakeholders so that you can be able to know what their concerns are. Are we together? So it is important that you know the concerns of each stakeholders in the project you are managing. And it is also important, and this happens throughout the life cycle of your project. A good project manager wants to put his ears on ground to be sure of the concerns of the stakeholders. You know that stakeholders may have different areas where they are interested. Some are interested in your schedule. How long you don't take for how long you don't take for this job. Some are interested in how much you have spent. Some are interested in the quality of the work you are providing, you are delivering. So you need to pay attention to each of these stakeholders and know where their concerns are. That's stakeholders engagement. Do not overlook any stakeholders' concern. I understand that during the first or second class contact in this project management class, there is a box that talks about stakeholders. Key stakeholders and non-key stakeholders. I understand that there are some stakeholders that can bark, but they cannot bite. Or irrespective, please never overlook any stakeholder's concern. It is for your benefit. Are we together? Then, of course, we have the input. The input remains the same. and the tools and techniques. So stakeholders engagement is just about trying to work close with each stakeholders to understand what their concerns are so that you begin to handle those concerns as those issues are coming up so that it doesn't become an issue. So it has so much to do with communication, so much to do with interpersonal relationship skill. Sometimes you may have several meetings with them just to ensure that you understand what their concerns are and you attend to it. So we have talked about in the tools and techniques is the same thing. We have repeated this over and over, except maybe for ground rules. Ground rules, we mean that whoever commits, whether the person is close to you or not, must face the consequence. So if it is suspension for not coming to work early, give it to everybody, irrespective of their high-level performance. So that's the ground rules. Are we together? Then, of course, that's the only thing we didn't touch in the tools and techniques from other processes. Then, finally, those are the 10 processes involved when it comes to managing our projects. So I personally consider one of these processes to be very, very important. Can anybody identify this process? Can anybody identify this process? Those of you on Zoom, can anybody, out of these 10 processes, there's one that is applicable to all. Can anybody identify it? Just to be sure that we're together. Okay, I had stakeholders engagement.
Number 10.
Number 10. Okay, kindly mute your mic. Thank you. I had something here. What did you say, man? Okay, manage communication. I had something there. Number 1, direct and manage project work. Number 10, stakeholders engagement, manage stakeholders engagement. Okay, quality. Manage communication. What's your name, sir? What's your name, sir? Francis, what's your name? Faith. Francis and Faith are correct. Manage communication. Now look at it. If you want to direct and manage project work, what do you do? Manage project knowledge. What do you do? When you want to acquire resources, what do you do? Develop team. Manage team. Conduct procurement. So all of them, even in managing communication, you still communicate. So it is very important. Do you know that communication plays a vital role? Even in our relationship with our family, it is important to communicate. Most of the issues in marital affairs is lack of communication. And I've said to myself, I would deploy a very suitable means of communication in my family. Guys, take this from me. Those of you in relationship, women love words of affirmation. Say it to them. Yes, of course, I understand that they also want to dance Bilonia Cash. They also want to dance to that song. But talk to them. For me, I've said I'm going to use a lot of punchlines for my wife. Yes. I'll just look at her one day and say, baby, you know you are the well in my life. Without you, I know well. Oh. Or I might just look at her and just give her a pet name. I'll say, do you look like Aisha? Because you didn't enter my Aisha. Thank you very much, guys. This is the end of our class. So for those of us online, kindly just send in your name. The next facilitator should be here soon. You said? Any question? Break. You have the break now. The attendance is going on, right? Please write your name. There's organizational policy. Those are policies. So, we'll talk about somebody's mic is on. Okay, we'll talk about organizational process assets. We'll talk about, so there are in organizations, they have policies. And that's why when you're applying for any job, you need to go and read the background. So those ground rules are always attached. You said? Yeah. Yes. I think when I was making mention of when you are applying for a message job, go and read at their contents. No, apart from that, read at their contents. You will see what they expect from you. How you should respect your colleagues. A lot of them are there. So those are grounds. And even when you get into the organization, they'll still, of course, they'll welcome you. This one, this one. Hey, yes. Yes. See, actually, it's just for you to have a proactive. You said you know what you know. And sometimes you also need to find out the department you have. You also have policy. So that will also guide you. So they're like small parameters. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Most times, reputable organizations, they have gone back. Okay, now I'm saying this like that. Let me look up. Yes. And yeah, we have. That's why the program still advice them. Always come across such arguments. But now, still left for you. How do you adapt? Because me, the reason why I stay was guy was so irrespective of the time from the training. But we go to a time when I knew that I knew. That was the right time. Hello. Attention. Okay. So just Mr. Madi will be here soon. He wants to brief you guys on how the portal works. But before then, apart from facilitating for Dexters and Heroes on project management, what I also do, I assist the admin. I assist the admin, but I am not physically available. I'm virtually available. I'm also in your group. So for whatever complaints that you may have, feel free to send me a message and I will attend to it. Then apart from that, soon, this is the April group, right? Soon, what I do is I source out for jobs. Now, the jobs I source out for are not, I have a direction that I focused on, and the direction is United Nations. So any job opportunity that is in the United Nations, I will post in the group, but that will be after you are done with your assessment. So for those in the March group, those who have trained March, those who have trained for March, those who have trained for February, and those who have even trained last year from October, whenever there are vacancies like this, I push them. Those were part of the things that we say we're going to give to you, not so. Then again, CV development. When the time is right, once you are done with your trainings, the template will be sent to you for you to develop your own.
Thank you. Good morning. So HR will be, she's around, she's in the office upstairs. So just in few minutes after this, she has been around for the past 30 minutes. HR ends today because we were able to have class on Saturday, which was the week 3 virtually. And please forgive me, I ought to have published the recordings for those classes we had. In fact, all the classes we've had, because they are all on record. So please, while HR is going on, I'll be in the office and I'll publish it. Hopefully before you finish for today, I would have dropped it, so that even if you missed my own part of project management, as we held it on Saturday and also had a class on Monday, that helped us to close up the gap. The goal was to ensure that the multiple holidays in April does not truncate your calendar, your plan, and our plan. And I think we are on course. So HR ends today, after her today's class, because it's a 3 weeks course. When it ends today, your assessment will begin on Wednesday for HR. When I use the word begin, when we open the portal, we leave it open for 1 week so that you can log in at any time within the window of 1 week to take your assessment. That applies to every other program. Now, when we say 1 week, it's real time, 24 hours, even if it's 12 midnight, but it's 2 a.m., anytime around the clock, you feel, okay, I have chance today, let me take it. You log on and take it. So between now and Wednesday, we would have created login details for everyone that participated in HR course, and it will be published on the WhatsApp group. You need username and password individually to be able to take your assessment. Now, when you log on to the portal, of course, you don't need to cram anything I'm saying, because we've already, when we publish the login details, there is a step-by-step guide of what, just want to let you know how it works. Portal.dexterheroes.com, you don't need to write it. You understand? When you log on to the portal, the first interface is where you put in your username and password. The username always have a code for the course, like HRM will be a HRM, then you have / some numbers. That HRM is always in capital letter. Put it in capital letter. That / must also be there. You understand? Now, your password is a combination of letters, but in capital letters. It is case sensitive. So make sure that when you're keying it in, it is also in capital letters. Once you do that, you put your username and password, you click on log in. The next thing you see is your personal profile page, where you have your personal information. Very important for us is the way your name was spelled and arranged. So, for example, my name is Ome Chinwendu Amadi, but I got into my profile page and I saw Amadi Ome Chinwendu. That's not the way I arranged my name officially. What I will do is I will click on edit profile. You click on edit profile and you correct it, and you now click update, and that will be okay. If you don't do this, the way your name is on your profile is the automatic way to be on the certificate. Because we don't use our hand to start putting in certificate. We request for certificate from the portal. So the portal will only take what already is. I mean, the system will take already what is existing. Please, I beg you. This is the reason why when certificate comes out and you say, no, my name is not correct, we'll now ask you to pay for us to request for another one for you. Because we assume you should have corrected it. Therefore, it's your responsibility for your name to be wrong. You understand? Please, that's the first point. That is very most important thing to do. It's very, very important. And then, two, once you confirm that your name is okay, you're going to see, of course, a summary of the timeline for the assessment. That assessment for this course is between this time. It will give you when it starts and the end date. You will get those summary. You also now see a small, of course, a little description of instructions if you want to read it. Most of this instruction is what I'm already saying. Is that okay? Now you click on take assessment now. Once you click on that, it now takes you into the assessment page, where you now have the assessment arranged page by page. You understand? I think it is 10 questions per page. So all you need to do is look at the questions, look at the options, click the one that represents your best choice, and you go to the next question. You keep clicking, you keep clicking. If you change your mind, just click the one that you think is not the correct one, and the former one you clicked will go off. Of course, most of us are conversant with CBT tests. You understand? So when you get to the last page, you will always see at the bottom of the last question, submit. And then you click on submit. Don't run away. Once submit, it will take you back to your profile page, but this time around with your performance report. You understand, which is your score. Now, you'll see a summary of your performance in a small box by the right-hand corner. Now, if you have 50 and above, you always see your mark, your score, and you will see a remark, pass. If it is 50, you see the 50%, pass. If it is 100, you see the 100%, remark, pass. Anything below 50, you will see your score, maybe 30, but you will see remark, retake. It's a polite way of saying you failed it. You understand? So, but it also means what it is, retake. Retake means you can log in again to take the assessment because you've not passed it. Is that okay? Your username and password for that particular course, for assessment on that particular course remains valid until you score up to 50%. That answers the question, how many times can you retake? There's no limit. But rather, once you score 50%, maybe you scored like 60, you're like, no, it's too low. Let me retake it again. I should get something better. Once you have 50 and above, that login detail will never work again to take assessment. You can only use it to view your profile, but you cannot take assessment on that course. You can only log in and you see your dashboard and your performance. Before Wednesday, and I'm sure maybe before the end of today, we'll publish it early. All the questions you are going to see on the portal, of course, we are referring to HR for now. We are going to publish it on what they call your WhatsApp group. The questions, their options, and the correct answer. What we want you to do is, as part of your reviewing your material, look at the questions you're likely going to see. The word likely is because we don't know which of them computer will give you. Remember that we have pool of questions, and I'm saying the whole of these questions will send to you. But you don't know which of them the system will shuffle and give you 50, because HRM is 50 questions within 1.5 hours. Your timeline for the assessment is the duration is 1.5 hours. And of course, when you log in, you see your timer at the top right-hand corner of your system counting down. Don't allow it to get to 0. Our IT partners told us that if you get to 0, the system will submit for you. But I think I prefer to be in control. Let me be the one to click submit. That's why I always tell people, don't let the system submit for you. Be the one to click submit. You understand? That is how it works. Like Architect Solomon was saying, if there's any issue, just always reach out to the numbers that we provide. He also is always at the back end there to provide support. Please, there is nothing hard about assessment. You understand? They are all professional programs, and the intention is not to see who is first class or fail anyone. Please, it's important. All your assessments are recorded. We keep it because periodically we receive requests to process transcripts. You understand? This month, no, what we did was certificate verification for Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Foreign Affairs, I think in fact, they have recruited one of the guys that trained with us. And of course, he submitted the certificate. There's what we call background check. Maybe you have done that to your HR, or you do today under record management. You understand? So they did, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we saw someone sent from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and he came with a photocopy, two photocopies of the certificate, 2 certificates. And they simply said, they wanted us to just confirm that true, this guy earned this certificate from you. And all we needed to do was go back to the portal and check whether the guy exists. You understand? Because there's no way we will know, maybe by just name alone, that we know everyone. No. Go back to the portal, and truthfully, we saw his name, we saw all his particulars, and we did a letter to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, confirming it, giving him all the particulars and everything. And of course, they wanted us to give a commendation on his behavior and attitude while he was with us and all that. So your record is kept. Any day, anytime. No, I don't need it. I'm not taking it. I will take it when I come. Any day, anytime you feel like I need it, please always call back to us. Please, it's left you to send us a mail that please, I need a transcript sent to so place on this course. And we prepare the transcript. Of course, this time around, on preparing your transcript, your performance will be reflected. The major information they want in the transcript is what were the modules you covered in the course and what was your performance at the post-training assessment. So that is done. Please, thank you. Any question? Your HR is here, my dear. Please. Certificates, no course is dependent on the order. So as your HR begins, assessment begins on Wednesday, we usually give a cycle of an average 1 month before we make a request for certificate. So, and I think this is, the last time we made a request was about 2 weeks ago now. It means in about 2 weeks' time, we're going to make requests for certificate. Making requests for certificate is we give an order from in the portal that everyone who have taken assessment on across all the courses and passed, prepare certificate. You understand? So if you have taken your HR, for example, between now and that next 2 weeks, it means your HR will be out. You get it? So no course waits for the order, they are all independent and all. Is that okay? So, and you always get a message when certificate, your cert comes out, you always get a notification that your social certificate is out, come and pick it. You understand? And all that. Please, the portal is synchronized with our payment system. That is how our IT people did it. They made it in such a way to ensure that anybody who is still owing cannot be able to take assessment. You can have login details, your username and password, but when you try to log in, it will tell you you're inactive. That inactive means you still have 1 kobo left to balance. So I'm saying this so that those of us who still have any balance to make in your fee, you can also plan to do so before your assessment. Okay, so once you log in, the timer is counting down. If for any reason, maybe your system went off, it means when you log in again, you start afresh. You understand? It will take you to where you stopped because it does not store what you've done, so you cannot also pause it. So if for any reason your system goes off, internet goes off, when you log in again, it will refresh. You start again. Your HR is here. Thank you, everyone on Zoom. I think we can continue to engage. I just wanted to give us that orientation first so that you can be aware since by Wednesday you start interacting with the portal. Okay, can I use any other device to take the assessment? Yes, you can. Now, there's a common issue we've seen lately. What is it? Maybe, for example, I took my HRM with my phone and I want to take my PMP assessment. And when I try to log in, it still takes me back to my HRM. The reason is because your device is still having a record of your last login of HRM. To solve that problem, go to your history, your browser history, and clear browsing history so that all the caches can go and you log in. You understand? Thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll continue to engage. You can log out now so that you can join your HRM. God bless you all. And for those of us in class, please, we have 2 minutes to stretch our leg and come back to us. Thank you.